Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today I'm here to bring you an anime review on Taizai. So, this is the first episode of Taizai in 2015, and this is episode 13 if I'm correct, and we only have 11 episodes left. So, I'm just going to talk about something real quick. We have a new opening and a new ending song with this episode of Taizai, and for the most part, the opening song is okay. It's nothing amazing, but the opening song is pretty good. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the visuals inside of the opening. So, the opening, for the most part, it kind of clarifies a couple of things. They show Galther in the opening, so it makes me assume that the Armored Giant arc is not technically going to be completely skipped, but A-1 is planning on actually concluding or getting majority of this series done, like 2 full big arcs done in 11 episodes. Now, what that means, we have the Armored Giant arc and then we have the Kingdom arc. And so, 11 episodes to conclude these 2 arcs. I'm kind of like, whoa, on that entire aspect. So, let's talk about this episode. For the most part, when it comes to the episode, it's a really enjoyable episode. It really is. As an anime-only watcher, I could see how a lot of fans could really enjoy this episode and say it was kick-ass. And it was. I can't deny it. But here's the thing. With this episode, nobody can really deny that the pacing of this episode was quite fast. Like, it was really obvious to tell there was so much going on in this episode. Like, let's really look at all the stuff and details. I mean, you had the fight with Meliodas going down. That pretty much got concluded before even the halfway point of the episode. You have the entire bit with Diane and the Mother Catastrophe ability with her Sacred Treasure. You have it to where we get to see Hindi using his abilities, like he's giving his power up to Helbram, and then you have other stuff going on along with the afterthoughts of what happens after the battle, to the setup for whatever is going on in the future with what Bond wants to do with King. And I mean, there's just so many little details going on in this episode, along with, you know, Diane getting her Sacred Treasure. So here's the thing, this episode, obviously, even as an anime-only watcher, it's really apparent and easy to tell if you really look at this episode that it was really rushed. Now, you're probably wondering what was rushed. When it comes to this episode, there's a couple things that were technically rushed. For one thing, there was a specific scene, we got a slight flashback slightly with Diane and Hauser in this episode, but if you look closely in the flashback, you see that bug dude, the big-ass bug dude, he's laying on the ground in the flashback. You see him on the fucking ground, and you see him in like a hole, pretty much. But in the manga, it actually showed that fight. That entire fight was pretty much skipped, where Diane gets her Sacred Treasure, she beats the shit out of that dude, along with Hauser beating the shit out of that dude, and you got some, you know, development and connections going on between Hauser and Diane, along with some romance progression. And that, right there, was some actual major development between those 2 characters that was actually omitted from this episode. And, once again, development is being completely cut out, like Veronica's development with, you know, Grimoire. That was just completely axed out of the series too. So, once again, another example of great character development being cut out, along with some great foreshadowing for future stuff that's currently going on in the manga. So, good job, A1. Anyways, besides that entire aspect, the Mother Catastrophe. In this episode, with Mother Catastrophe, there was actually a couple of things removed in that scene. Like, there should have been a couple more scenes where you saw Diane break the fucking mountain. Like, you should have saw the mountain shatter. The way the mountain shattered, you should have saw it behind Diane like a mountain fucking shattering. And they didn't show that in this episode. So I was like, okay. So, besides that aspect, we have the entire bits going on with how Helbram gets the sword from Meliodas, and supposedly it's the key to the coffin of eternal darkness. So we got a little bit of setup going on along with that. So the episode, for the most part, has a lot of setups, a lot of conclusions. It pretty much concludes this arc when it comes to this festival. That's pretty much what happened in this episode, and it sets up for the next arc. Personally, the episode was okay. Like, the music was fine. It felt misplaced in some scenes, but the music was fine. Animation was good in the fighting scenes, but there was a little bit of animation derps on This episode, I did notice quite a few, but it was a good episode. So, besides that, let's move on to the actual real critical point. So, now I want to actually be really critical when it comes to this episode, so I'm pretty much done with talking about the episode and all that. I'm just going to really dive in and talk about this. Since I'm a manga reader, I really want to talk about this episode now. So, I recommend, if you don't want to see the critical part of this review, I recommend, technically leaving now. So, I give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. This episode, Taizai, just being straightforward, okay? If there's any anime onlys watching still, or manga readers watching, most likely manga readers know how I personally really feel about this episode, putting everything aside when it came to this episode as an anime only. This series is getting the Tokyo Ghoul treatment. It straight up is. It's getting the Tokyo Ghoul treatment. And when I see this, I'm really pissed off. Like, I've been following Taizai for quite a while now, like almost a year, or a little bit more than that. And seeing this shit with how my manga, one of my favorite series to review, watch, or read technically, weekly, and seeing this shit, what I saw in this episode, like, and we only have 11 episodes left. We have straight up just 11 episodes left of this. And I know how A-1 is. They have a track record when it comes to series they do. All their season 1s when it comes to shonen anime usually end up fucking butchered. SAO1, Maggie season 1, and then this now. And the thing is, the way this pacing is going, we're gonna get through 100 fucking chapters, 103 or 5 chapters, probably, yeah, 103, 103 chapters before this series is done. 103 fucking chapters. Let's put this in perspective, okay? Let's really think about the perspective of how many chapters that is. Hunter x Hunter, if I'm correct, it has 300 something chapters. And guess what? This right here, this has 100-something chapters. Now, let me explain. Hunter x Hunter, yes, has 300. It's a lot more. But guess how many episodes Hunter x Hunter was with 300-something chapters? It is a total of 149 episodes. So, here's the thing. With that amount of, chapters with Hunter x Hunter, and that many, episodes of Hunter x Hunter, clearly it shows you the pacing-wise when it comes to this series. Taizai is really being rushed. The fighting is even getting rushed. Even some fighting panels, like with Meliodas transforming and fighting Helbram in this episode, it was rushed beyond belief. And I, as a manga reader, I was really revolted looking at this episode. I really was. I was really sick looking at this episode because I fucking love this series, and I knew this shit would happen. I sensed it. I sensed it so fucking hard. I did. And it saddens me. It saddens me so fucking bad right now how this series cannot get the proper anime adaptation. It's getting that Tokyo Ghoul Season 1 treatment. That rushed and butchered character development. I'm sad. It's like I'm broken right now because, man, I fucking love Taizai. I really love Taizai so much. And to see this shit, it's saddening. Because I know for a fact there's going to be anime-only watchers that say there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong. I have no reasons to be mad. Us manga readers are technically the reason why this anime even exists. Let's be honest here. The sales of us buying manga or supporting the series in Japan or here, if it wasn't for the manga readers, this series wouldn't exist. Or in anime form. And to see how this is just getting rushed, man. Like, this arc right here, okay? This one point right here is when Taizai was supposed to really change. It was supposed to fucking become, like, completely different. This is where Taizai separated from the normal shonen. That's exactly what was supposed to happen with this episode, especially with Diane versus Helbram and the overall fight with Meliodas in Helbram. That entire scene, that's when this series should have separated as from, like, a standard shonen. And to see how this episode was really handled, it hurts my heart so fucking much, because this is when Taizai actually shows you the potential it really has and all these setups. I mean, the anime, for the most part, it's enjoyable. It is. It's an enjoyable anime. But when you truly know truly, truly know what to expect from Taizai, when you see the foreshadowing and the writing skills of Nakaba-sensei when it comes to this series, you truly are just dumbfounded by how A-1 is literally just taking a massive shit on this series. Like, I feel so bad for Nakaba-sensei, I really do, because Nakaba-sensei put so much effort into this series, so much hard work. The latest chapters even prove that when it comes to Taizai. For the past 20 to 30 chapters of Taizai, the chapters prove the quality and consistency of the writer. And I feel so bad seeing how Nakaba-sensei, as the writer, the person that wrote the soul into this series, is probably having to watch his own series getting butchered. And it's just like, I'm thinking like, A-1, stop. Fucking stop. Just stop, please. Just stop doing this. But, hey, they gotta appeal to the shonen fans. They gotta appeal to those, fans when it comes to the standard mainstream stuff. And Taizai isn't a standard mainstream type series. It is not. It is not a mainstream series. At first it is, when it first starts. But then it really gets into a series that is kind of complicated, has so many furies and different paths it can take and branches, that it starts getting slightly complicated. And to see this, that they're taking it as if it's like a shonen, just should be straight up a shonen battle series that has no intelligence along with it, and that's how they're treating this. It's exactly how SAO1 was technically treated. It was treated as a battle shonen when it was never really fully a battle shonen. It was actually about the characters. And to see this, it's just like, fuck. So, I guess that's going to conclude my review/critical review of Taizai. If you stuck around, I'm sorry for pissing you off. If you really loved this episode, I really am. I don't mean to offend anyone. I don't mean to piss you off or anything. It just gotta say my honest thoughts. And that's what you deserve. You deserve my honest thoughts. So, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.